going up. I'm going up. I'm going up with the Lord. I'm going up. I'm going up. I'm going up. I'm going up in the first resurrection. I'm going up. I'm going up. And I'm going up with the Lord. They'll be coming from the east. They'll be coming from the west. They'll be coming from the north. They'll be coming from the south. I'm going up. I'm going up. I'm going up with the Lord. Yes, I'm going up. I'm going up. I'm going up in the first resurrection. I'm going up. I'm going up. I'm going up with the Lord. They'll be coming from the east, coming from the west, coming from the north, coming from the south. I'm going up. I'm going up. I'm going up with the Lord. Yes, I'm going up. I'm going up. I'm going up in the first resurrection. I'm going up. I'm going up. I'm going up. He that believeth, he that believeth, he that believeth, hath everlasting life. He that believeth on the Father and the Son, hath everlasting life. He that believeth, he that believeth, he that believeth, hath everlasting life. He that believeth on the Father and the Son, hath everlasting. When I get to heaven, when I get to heaven, gonna walk all around, have everlasting life. I'm gonna sit down by my Savior, gonna put on my crown, have everlasting life. He that believeth, he that believeth, have everlasting life. He that believeth on the Father and the Son, have everlasting. When I get to heaven, when I get to heaven, gonna walk all around, have everlasting life. Gonna sit down by my Savior, gonna put on my crown, have everlasting life. He that believeth, and he that believeth, he that believeth, have everlasting life. He that believeth on the Father and the Son, have everlasting. I feel the Spirit moving. I feel the Spirit moving. That's alright. I feel the Spirit moving. That's alright. I feel the Spirit moving. That's alright. That's alright. He'll fill you. He'll fill you with the Holy Ghost. That's alright. He'll fill you with the Holy Ghost. That's alright. He'll fill you with the Holy Ghost. That's alright. That's alright. He'll set your soul on fire. He'll set your soul on fire. That's alright. He'll set your soul on fire. And that's alright. Set your soul on fire. That's alright. That's alright with me. Nick Rice, can you open us up? Amen.
Morning, everybody. Sí, señor. Now that we've exhausted my Spanish, let's go on. Welcome, everybody, and appreciate your being with us in our adult Bible class. I'm doing an ongoing study on Bible battles, and I want to welcome you to this study. And just to open us up, get the ball rolling, why should we study Bible battles? Just somebody give me an encouragement that of why we're taking the time to take a look at these old historical battles. To study history, Hector? Learn how to fight. And we found out in a previous study that God said, I left on purpose remnants of the tribes that you're going to dispossess in the promised land. I am leaving them on purpose, and particularly giants. And he didn't make it just a cakewalk to go into the promised land and just simply walk into the empty houses and the empty fields. But he left forces that were formidable, and that was for the purpose, God said, to teach the generations to come warfare. One of the observations about revival is that revival breaks out. There are pioneers, there's sturdy stock, sturdy folk. They make commitments, they're dedicated, they put it all on the line, they sacrifice, and then as a consequence, they pay a price to see God move in their generation, and they establish a work. Revival generally is the result that if the people were right, and that results in a multiplying of churches and perhaps a denomination, or as we call ourselves, a fellowship, rises up and spreads throughout the land. But as the years tick on, and as they inevitably will, time marches on, there's the next generation. The next generation is a very key generation. They generally, being close to the beginnings of the movement, they will hold a number of the convictions. For example, in our fellowship, they were raised with no TVs. They were raised, with standards. They were raised going to church, revival, outreach, so on and so forth. And so they generally, they're a pivotal generation. And many of those things that they took from their parents, that's just the way that it's always been. That's the way that they continue on to a point. And that point begins to shift when the parents begin to die. Then those kids, the second generation, they have their kids. And then if the second generation have not embraced what the parents lived and taught them, and they pay a price to embrace that as their own convictions. The key here is conviction. If it's a conviction that we're passing to our next generation, we're safe. If it's just a tradition that it could change with the seasons, then that's when people begin to play loose and lenient, you could say, or loose, and they might even use the word experiment, and then begin to shift off course. Revivals never die, they only get diverted. Revivals never die, they only get diverted. But that's a key thing the devil knows. So to stop that to a degree, God on purpose allows every generation is going to have to pay a worthy price for revival. Thank God to be born in a church or an atmosphere of revival. Thank God that's a rich, rich, rich heritage. I thank God that I got saved in Prescott in 1974. I was launched out in 1979. I sought to take that, which I had been discipled with, and reproduce that in Cortez, Colorado, then Sierra Vista, then Davao, Houston, and then in Tempe. I've had the compliment that many times people will say, this feels like Prescott. This is a very powerful, you know, testimony of the ongoing of the pattern. Okay, but that doesn't mean that it's a settled thing. The devil has an interest in diverting us. The flesh has an interest in diverting us. The world has an interest in diverting us. And so there's all kinds of deals. When Abraham fought the battle that we talked about, the battle of Sodom, when the kings were battling, and Abraham, first war in the scripture, there came a spirit. There came a spirit that was expressed through a person. Spirits will talk, and many times they talk through people. And the king of Sodom offered Abraham, you take the spoils, you take the plunder from the war, give me the persons. You take the plunder, you give me the persons. You take the spoils, you give me the souls. And so that's a bargain that Abraham could have looked at all of this plunder, all of these resources, and said, wow, I'm going to have I'm going to have a windfall here, powerful windfall. But he said, I won't take a shoelace from you. I don't want a shoelace from you, you miserable worm. You smut from Sodom, and I don't want you to have any kind of lien on my soul. That's the thing you have to be careful of, is that the world was trying to get us into the corner where they make us their debtors. You owe me. The world's spirit manipulates you, compromise you, gets you to a place, and says that you owe me. So the deal is you back off. You quit being so intense. You quit being so committed. We have this with the spirit of the world. We have this with husbands or wives, one or the other, that they don't want to serve God. And for instance, recently I heard of a couple that they left the Prescott church, and the husband, the wife doesn't want to do that. She'd been raised, I think her father is in the ministry, and so she didn't want to do that. But he pulls the old wives, submit to your husbands. And but the wife says, no, we need to serve God. Oh, there's other churches. We can go to another place and serve God. Yeah, but that while that is true, there's other places. It may not be true for you. If God told Jonah to go to Nineveh, I don't care how many Christians were over in Tarshish, that's not the place for Jonah. And so God's will, don't you love it? God's will has a, see, isn't that wonderful? But if you're not right, you go, Aulson, he's brainwashed these people. So it doesn't matter. It wouldn't matter if I walked on water in this place. You'd say, you'd say I had floaties in my feet or something. So it doesn't matter. Haters are going to hate. So what, right? So what? I could care less because I need to answer to my God, not the hater. All right, so the point that we've tried to establish here is that you're going to have to fight. You're not going to be given a pass. I didn't want to fight, the powers of darkness. I didn't want to have any kind of, I just wanted to live a good life, peaceable, peace man. I'm for détente. And, it's very interesting. Does anyone know what the word détente means, which we heard back in the 70s? We don't hear it so much anymore, but it used to be a big word when the Cold War was going on. Does anyone know what the word détente means?
Nixon.
Huh?
Nixon.
Okay, but let's get, what is the word Nixon? Yeah. Carl, what does it mean?
Pretty sure it means just give up.
Okay, relaxing of the war bows. When you take a bow that's ready for war is taunt. Is that right? Is it taunt? And so it's ready to be used at a moment's notice. you're ready for battle. Détente was the word where you take your finger and you loosen the string from the tension and they relax it. And so it's gone limp. And so that is the picture of many, many Christians that have gone weak-kneed in their. See, in other words, to have what we have, you have to pay a price, and in a certain way, you have to have an attitude. You fellowship people, you got an attitude. Well, thank God. I don't want to be milquetoast. I don't want to be not have any kind of impact. I want to have some kind of impact. If you're going to have some impact and make your life count, you're going to have to get in the arena. And it's not the critic who counts, who points out how the strong man stumbled and got his nose bloodied or chipped his tooth, and he could have, he should have thrown a right hook, and yeah, thanks, pal. Just put a sock in your mouth. And so, it's the guy that gets in it's the guy or the gal that gets in the arena, throws down and says, I'm going to, like David, who do you think you are, Goliath? I don't care if you're Goliath. I'm going to take you on, not because we're prideful or stupid or just have a death wish, gluttons for punishment, but because we serve the living God. And our God is promised that he'll fight for us. The battle is not yours, it's the Lord's. And so, but it doesn't negate the fact that there are blood, sweat, and tears. And I mean tears. There are some intense battles. But what we're here to teach is that if you'll lay hold of God's principles, you'll not only survive, but you'll thrive. It's not just simply, I want to get through this and white knuckle. Oh, I just hope I can hold on to the bitter end. I don't want to go up in the rapture. I want to give the devil a rupture. And so, believe me, he's fighting us. So might as well enjoy close your eyes, enjoy the view, I say. 2 Chronicles chapter 20, and we're looking at the battle that is there in this time in Israel's history. Jehoshaphat is the king, and there are in 3 invading armies led by 3 leaders that are actually, interestingly enough, they're all related to Israel by the flesh. According to the flesh, they are Amnon, Moab, and the children of Mount Seir, which would be Esau's descendants. Ammon and Moab are the mutant sons that were the product of Lot with his perverse liaison with his daughters. And that is absolutely, that those children should have never been born. They're very wrong, incestuous relationship. And then Mount Seir is Esau's descendants. So surprise, surprise, they have formed a coalition and they are resisting Israel. So let's get 2 Chronicles. Let me give some scriptures out while we're looking. Galatians 4, 28 and 29, Elijah. Then I need Matthew. Let's get to John chapter 1, 10 through 13. John, Brother Joseph. Then if I could get 2 Corinthians 2:11. Can I get some? Okay, Michael. Then I need 1 Corinthians 10:13, Caesar. And then I need, okay, we'll get those and see where we sit. If you'd follow, you have on the board, I don't know if you could get that, 2 Chronicles 20, 1 through 4. I'll read it. It came to pass after this also that the children of Moab and the children of Ammon, and with them others besides, the Ammonites, came against Jehoshaphat to battle. Then there came some that told Jehoshaphat, saying, there comes a great multitude against you from beyond the sea on this side Syria. And behold, they be in Hazazon Tamar, which is in Engedi. And Jehoshaphat feared and set himself to seek the Lord and proclaimed a fast throughout all Judah. And Judah gathered themselves together to ask help of the Lord. Even out of all the cities of Judah, they came to seek the Lord. In verse 10, it focuses in. It says, behold, the children of Ammon and Moab and Mount Seir. Jehoshaphat is praying and mentions them by name. He names them before God. And he says, these are the ones that you did not let Israel invade when they came out of the land of Egypt, but they turned from them and they destroyed them not. So the point that I want to just touch is that they're all related to Israel by blood. Sad but true. Now listen to me. It is very sad, but sometimes the ones that come against you are not who you'd expect. These are related by blood. They should be by the principles of relationships. They should be familial connections or bonds. Familial means family bonds, and they should have helped Israel, or at least not been a thorn in their side. But sad but true. You have something that happened all the way back since the beginning of mankind, Cain and Abel. There's only two brothers that we know of up to this time, but one of them turns and in cold, brutal, cold blood, he murders his brother, and that is a very, very tragic observation. And I would point this out. The first sin was a vertical sin, a sin against God. The first sin was against God. The second recorded sin is on a horizontal, is against your brother. First sin against God. If you're not right with God, guess what? Ultimately, you'll not be right with your brother. In not exactly every single situation, but when you're not right with God, all bets are off. You could say, hey, I love my family and my family. Well, depends. If your family member gets saved and starts to preach to you or testify to you, and then you don't dig that, you could do all kinds of things, as has happened in history. So Galatians 4:28 and 29.
Now we, brethren, as Isaac was, are children of promise. But as he who was born according to the flesh, then persecuted him who was born according to the Spirit. Even so it is now.
Even so it is now. So I can't take away what God has put, what God has placed in the Scripture. We need to take knowledge of, and he gives a teaching in Galatians. Isaac is born of the promise. So aren't we. We are. So he's talking about Isaac and Ishmael. Both are from Abraham's seed. One is a miracle child from Abraham and Sarah. They would not have had Isaac unless they had a miracle that God did and quickened their mortal bodies. Ishmael was the offspring of something that they concocted by Sarah saying, hey, take this handmaiden Hagar. You know what I say about Hagar. Oh, you don't know? Okay, I'll tell you. I say, never go for a hayride with a girl named Hagar. If your name is Hagar, come, we'll talk about getting it legally changed. So again, that was Hagar happens to be an Egyptian woman, something that they picked up on their little side trip, their little diversion. They shouldn't have gone to Egypt, but they did. Egypt is a picture of the world. When Christians get, there's a famine, we need to go, and there's not a job, so we're going to go to Timbuktu. I'm having some stress, I'm going to run to the cooler. It's hot here, and we're going the cooler climes. When a Christian, I would love to go to cooler climes, by the way. You think I'm impervious to this? It's like, this is my ideal place of retirement. And so And so we make decisions either based on our own personal preference or the will of God. And so the issue is the will of God for your life. And don't be jealous of somebody else. Somebody else has a calling to someplace else. I'll guarantee you, by the way, if I talk to them and debrief them, they've got issues with, they're in Mecca land. They're in the Mecca land of the cool climes, and they're wishing that they were down in the valley. That wasn't very convincing, was it? I didn't convince myself either. Let me try that again. But anyway, the point is that we have Isaac was persecuted by Ishmael. There will come a time when the fleshly attitudes or fleshly motivations will attack the spiritual, and that was the case. And so the Holy Spirit writes through the Apostle Paul, but just as then, he that was born after the flesh persecuted him that was born after the Spirit, even so it is now. I have that in bold, I have that in italicized, and I have that underlined because I want to have that leap out at me. Even so it is now. You can't get around that. Jesus had to face that. Did I give Matthew 13? Okay, I'll read it just for the sake, because a few verses. Jesus had to face this. This was something, Jesus was he was our prototype. In other words, he was the ideal man. He was the perfect model of what God intended for a man to be. And so Jesus himself was not spared this. Matthew 13, if you're taking notes, 53 through 58. Now it came to pass when Jesus had finished these parables that he departed from there. When he had come to his own country, he taught them in their synagogues, so that they were astonished and said, where did this man get this wisdom and these mighty works? So he's gone back to his hometown. These are really people he grew up with, people that when he was in his dad's carpenter shop, he would have known the baker. He would have known the tailor or the seamstress, or he would have known these people. And so now he's come back, a son that has left that place and started his ministry. They're hearing about him. And now they're saying, they're astonished. Where did this man get this wisdom and these mighty works? Is this not the carpenter's son? Is not his mother called Mary, and his brothers James and Joseph, Simon and Judas, and his sisters? Are they not all with us? Where then did this man get all these things? And so they were offended at him. This is an interesting thing. You could call this, in a way, crabology. Sometimes somebody makes good from let's say, a family, and they rise up, they get blessing, and then the other start to take pot shots. Crabology is you grab little crabs in the burlap bag. The guy's collecting crabs, and he's got a bag, and he's just tossing the bags in. And a kid comes up and says, "Hey, sir, your bag is open." And you better tighten it up or close it up, because the crabs are going to escape. And the guy says to the kid, "Oh, I see you've never heard of crabology." And he says, "No, I haven't. What's that?" He said, "Well, look, you just watch." He said the crabs begin to move like they're going to escape, and the lower crabs reach up and grab the crab that's getting away. They grab him by the leg and pull him back down. In the Philippines, we had a helper for a period of time, Miss Crullo. And so with her wages, she bought a pig, a little baby piglet. She wanted to raise that pig, and then her plan was to sell that. They have what's called lechon, roast pig, and so she's nourishing that little pig, and then it gets hit by a car, and all the neighbors came over, and they helped themselves to a celebration at her expense. I said, "Mrs. Carrillo, why didn't you just keep that for yourself, or why didn't you just sell it?" And so it was communicated to me is that people in the neighborhood don't like it when somebody's escaping. Somebody's getting out of poverty. Somebody's going to do better than them. Human nature, call it jealousy, call it whatever you want, but that's what goes down. And so they were offended at him. And then Jesus' response, he said, "A prophet is not without honor except in his own country and in his own house." We've heard the same. Familiarity breeds contempt. People that are over familiar, This can be something that you got to be careful about, by the way. You got to be careful with God. You got to be careful with ministry. You got to be careful with people that are due some measure of respect. You get too friendly, too, you know what, and I'm the pastor, so I'll just, but you could say, well, he has a interest. But you know what? The pastor's not your back-slapping buddy. The pastor may drink a cup of coffee and have some fun time, but your pastor may have to look you in the eye and rebuke you soundly in Jesus' name. And so, hey, I thought he was my buddy. I didn't know he was gonna, and so, hey, just saying. And so a prophet has honor except amongst his own country. He said, well, I knew him when he was a snot-nosed kid. I knew him when he was just, when he was hitting his thumb on and who is he to tell us now? Who does he think he is? He gets all uppity. He leaves us, and now he thinks he's a big prophet. And they were offended. That means scandalized. And so just telling you, if you have ever had the experience of going back to unsaved relatives, grandparents, cousins, uncles, and they're not happy, especially if you happen to remind them, hey, you're not Christians. Don't you remember? We got drunk together. Oh, you're gonna judge and condemn me, are you? And so they can freak. Okay, John chapter 1. Did I give that verse 10 to 13? Okay, Jesus was in the, did I give that? Yes. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Joseph.
He was in the world, and the world came into being through him, yet the world did not know him. He came to what was his own, and his own people did not accept him. But to all who received him, who believed in his name, he gave power to become children of God, who were born not of blood or of the will of the flesh, or the will of man, but of God.
Okay, so, the point that is stunning here is that we're talking about the one that actually is the reason we exist, the one that actually created the physical universe and creation. And so if anybody would have the, should be known or should be respected or should be listened to, it would be the Creator. But because we are people that have fallen in our DNA and our sin nature, when Jesus came, in fact, in other parables, he gives some other shades of reasons. Is that they said, oh, he's the son, he's the heir, let's kill him, and then we won't be under his authority. So there's this issue that mankind doesn't take kindly to being ruled. We don't take kindly to being ruled. And so a big part of the whole process of this whole thing called life is to come to a conviction that, you know what, it's like I read that book called The Israel Test. And when I saw all of the things that Israeli people and Jewish people, they are the smartest people. They are the most, they have made more contributions to medicine, to business, to banking, to physics. You look at all the list of those that have got the Nobel Peace Prizes and awards for being geniuses, this, that, and the other. It's many times they're Jewish. Well, I'm Irish. I'm Jewish because I'm related to Abraham by faith. And I actually love to tell the Jewish people I talk to, I say, I'm more Jewish than you are. And that just lights them up. And I always have fun with that one. But Goyim. Goyim is a Gentile. And so, but I said after I read that book, I would gladly, if I was a government official in power, I would gladly give them the tools, give them investment, give them prominence and position, because they will figure things out. A lot of the diseases that have been cured by Jewish minds and doctors, and so many blessings that we don't even, and a lot of things that we just take for granted didn't come from us. For example, double entry bookkeeping, Jewish. Jews in Venice back in the day. And you say, what's that? That has enabled modern commerce to skyrocket because double entry, the up and down, the vertical and the horizontal, and to be able to account for every precise penny, when that was introduced by a Jew, that enabled people to figure out exactly what their wealth was, what their resources that they could loan, that they could invest. And so it has enormous impact upon the world, but we don't even think about it. Double entry. You know, double entry bookkeeping. You don't probably, how many thought about that this morning? You don't think about that. But that possibly enables you to drive a car, have a house, have an operation because you could get the money to do it because somebody could figure out exactly the things that they can invest and resources where they are. And so a guy that could figure that out, the merchants of Venice that could figure that out, the houses of investment could figure that out versus a king over in England that he has no idea where his wealth is. Oh yeah, I own some houses, I own some cattle. Yeah, but what do you own and what's available and where is it and how do you? Don't have a clue. We didn't wake up thinking about that this morning. But that is very, very profound. And the fact that we have chairs to sit on probably is related to those truths. So, okay, let's stop right there. Any input that about family? Are you on board that? Sad but true. That doesn't mean you should hate your parents, of course. You know, love, respect, and all that. But it means that you gotta chin up. I've said many times to people that even people I love you, but I'm not going to hell for you. That's your choice. If you choose that, you were given free will just like I was given free will. I'm not going to hell. If you're choosing to go to hell, that is your choice. And at some point, sad to say, but maybe you're gonna have to have that decision at some point. You know what? If my kids, if my parents, if my friends, if my pastor, anybody, I'm gonna have to make a decision. No, Jesus Christ is who I serve, and that's my first loyalty. Not familia, and not certainly not my children. I mean, hey, I love my children. Thank God that they're serving God, but everything hasn't been hunky-dory all of my life. Go ahead, Kim, go ahead.
You know, you were talking about détente, and I remember as a kid hearing stories about how many nuclear weapons we had and how many they had. And if we made an agreement that we would back off on our weapons and they would back off on their weapons, it's like family. They're like, well, if you just come over this Sunday and don't go to church, we'll go once in a while to your church, they never really told you what they really got rid of as far as the enemy. It was like, you compromise and we'll see if we want to.
Yeah, and you have our word on it. It was Reagan, trust but verify. So there's wisdom in that. Okay. So that would be very wise if our present, people on both sides of the aisle in Congress would apply that to Iran. That's relevant as today. Okay, anybody else you want to make a comment about that or question about, and I wish I could tell you that you're going to sail through life, your whole family's going to get saved and love it that you got saved. I remember witnessing to an old girlfriend, and as I stopped, gave her a chance to respond, there was silence for a little bit. And I think I said, what do you think about that? And she said, I like the old Mark Aulson better. Yeah. And it was like a knife in the gut because I was sincere. I was sincerely trying to help her soul, and especially recently saved, I was sincere. And so you gotta balance this out. That's why Jesus said, "Don't take your pearls and put your pearls before swine." I'm not trying to call anybody a swine, but people have a swinish, piggish Swine are known to love mud. They love the roll in mud and dirt and filth. And Jesus said, don't cast your pearls before swinish spirits, because they will muddy it up and then they'll turn and attack you. So that's a good illustration. Okay, let's move on. So we have the assault, and then we're going to see the response of Jehoshaphat. And so first thing that we can see in this passage in 2 Chronicles chapter 20 is that these three tribes became confederate, and they're on the march. And so what happens is that there's people that were, you could call them scouts, you could say they were simply on the outpost there. They saw what was happening. They were able to connect the dots, and they came and they told Jehoshaphat, who was the king of Israel, and they told him, a king of Judah actually, and they told him, this is what's taken place. Hey, your majesty, there are forces that are coming your way with evil intent, and you better take knowledge. You better figure something out here pretty fast. And so this technically was a surprise attack, because they didn't have satellites that watching every move, or Google Earth to watch everything. So technically it's a surprise attack, but not entirely. This is what you know when you serve God over a period of time, is that God makes a way for you to get an intel. Something's up. Something's going on. Something's at work. Something's not right. Something's out of place. God, and this could be through people. Oftentimes this is by the Spirit of God talking to his servants in prayer. All I'm making a point is that, we're not helpless in the sense that, oh gosh, I just got completely steamrolled. I want to make a point. Sometimes people try to tell me that, and I have, empathy for people's problems and situation, but it's not actually true many times. Listen to me. I'm your pastor. I love you. You're telling me that you got completely snookered. You got completely blindsided. Okay, maybe somewhat. But are you telling me? You telling me? You had no clue? You had no idea that anything was afoot? And usually the truth comes out. 2 Corinthians 2, verse 11.
So that we would not be outwitted by Satan, for we are not ignorant of his designs.
We would not be outwitted by Satan. He is an adversary, Satan, adversary. That he would not be able to hit us, and that we are ignorant of his designs. The old King James, or New King James said, lest Satan should take advantage of us, but we're not ignorant of his devices. The word ignorant means not to know, or to ignore through disinclination. That's a fancy way of saying that you're telling me this stuff is coming or this stuff is going on, but I don't want to deal with it. I can't tell you how many people have had something and then they say, but you know what, Pastor? I should have known. There was something that wasn't right. There's something that was happening there. And you know what? Sometimes the fact of the matter is people turn a blind eye to what they don't want to believe, or what they don't want to see, or what they don't want the hassle. If I really deal with that, there's going to be a hassle. And so, yeah, that's right. That's right. If you have an enemy that's ready to pounce on you and beat the ever-living tar out of you, you're going to have to do something. You're going to have to get, is heaven coming? I was trying to help the Lord. I was like, come on, let's go. And so the point is that you're not gonna. Just what I'm preaching is that, yeah, it would have been nice if we got airlifted out, but the chances are you're gonna have to stay around and fight for a while. You're going to have to stay and duke it out. So let's be aware of this. Don't be, and so the connotation there, we're not ignorant. Don't be willfully dumb. And that's not trying to be offensive. It's dumb means just not knowing and not wanting to deal with, unaware of the intel that God provides. See, as a pastor, people come and they say, why did this happen and how come? And sometimes the subtle or not so subtle inference is God let me down, or God didn't tell me, or God, and that's never the case. It's just never the case. It's God, you're going to find out when all the cards are put down. No, God was very faithful. 1 Corinthians 10:13. Okay, so God is faithful. God is faithful. He will not allow us to get in over our head in the sense of a trial or a temptation. You cannot honestly say, this thing came at me. It was so overpowering. I was absolutely powerless. I was absolutely had no ability to resist. That's not true. It's just not true. So you're either going to accept God's testimony. Whose report will you believe? I believe the report of the Lord. Let God be true, and every man, Mark Aulson, every man be a liar. And I say that to myself, is that, no, I don't accept charges. I'm talking about in my own heart, the way I've had to navigate. I don't accept charges against God. So when you charge God, you raise up some charge against God, I already got it out here. Nope, that's not true. It's not true. By experience, when you search out the matter, you find out it's not true. Did I give Matthew 26:41 to anybody? Okay. Let me just go ahead and read it. Watch and pray that you enter not into watch and pray lest you enter into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. So Jesus spoke this to his disciples. There is an intense spiritual battle that is about to burst on them. He did not leave them helpless. He did not leave them without resource or recourse. He said, watch and pray. This is a time that you need to watch and pray. Unfortunately, we have the testimony, they didn't watch and pray. They began to count sheep and began to lay. Instead of praying, they began to lay down. And so the unfortunate thing was they went to sleep. And Jesus even came back and he shook them awake, so to speak. He said, listen, the spirit's willing. See, the issue is, if I was to go around to every one of you, that you're here on a Sunday morning, for crying out loud. You have some genuine credentials of being sincere. You have some real, proof that you didn't sleep in, or you didn't, watch TV, or you didn't go strolling out in the mountains or something. No, you've come to the house of God. So that would tell me that your spiritual side, there's something moving in you somewhat to be for God and to know God and to love God. That's not the question. So when I say, hey, church, you need to pray. The pastor's scolding us. What does he think? That we're a bunch of heathen, that we don't serve God? No, that's not what I'm thinking. What I'm thinking is the same thing I'm thinking about for myself. We better get a hold of God, or we're going to get shellacked. I know that some of you think, I can handle the devil. You really, really, really are ignorant. Sorry. Your ignorance, your slip is showing. Your ignorance is showing. You're going to get shellacked. And so sometimes people tell me, I want to go out, Pastor, I want to go out. You're going to get killed. My job to stop you from getting killed. You're probably going to get a steamroller and run me over. But I still tried to throw myself in your wheels to stop you, and because you need some training, or you need some equipping, so on and so forth. And so the spirit indeed is willing. That's not the issue. The flesh is weak. So is the flesh in charge of you can run down the list. You can check the boxes. So is the flesh in charge of your appetites? Is the flesh in charge of your hobbies? Is the flesh in charge of, and so the flesh is weak. And so beware. And so that was in the context, watch and pray. Be alert, be spiritually aware, be spiritually awake, and pray. And then not just to simply say, oh, wow, looks like the devil's on the move. Well, then that means you need to move towards prayer. You need to move towards fasting. You need to move towards consecration. You need to move towards offensive weapons of outreach and witnessing and giving and so on, the offensive things, offense, going on the offense. I think J.L., go ahead. I'm sorry, you've seen what? Yep. So if you were to just, Pastor Aulson has passed out the Bible reading record since 2000, was it 2004? So it's probably 20 years, if not more, maybe 22 years. Why does he do that? Anyone got a guess? Why would we do that? We're trying to get people in a bite-sized approach. Look, if you would read your Bible for 20 minutes, and then the average would be 20 minutes a day. You'd reach the Old Testament, New Testament, Psalms twice a year, and the Gospels twice a year. And so it's 20 minutes a day. You have 20 minutes. Believe me, you have 20 minutes. And you say, well, you know what? It's so important I work out. Then get some earbuds and have the Bible read in your ear, dummy. You're with the dumbbells. Anyway, you have 20 minutes. Don't even try to go there. All right, so this is important truth. I'm going to close it off with 1 Thessalonians 5. If you're taking notes, you might, 1 Thessalonians 5, 1 through 9. But concerning the times and seasons, that would be now, brothers, sisters, you have no need that I should write to you, for you yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so comes as a thief in the night. For when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them, as labor pains upon a pregnant woman. And they shall not escape. But you, brothers, are not in darkness, so that this day should overtake you as a thief. You are all sons of light and sons of the day. We are not of the night, nor of darkness. Therefore, let us not sleep as others do, but let us watch and be sober. For those who sleep, they sleep at night, and those who get drunk are drunk at night. But let us who are of the day be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and a helmet, the hope of salvation. These are weapons. These are equipment. This is equipment to be able to fight and stand in the battle. And so God did not appoint us to wrath, but to obtain salvation through our Lord Jesus Christ. Do not be asleep as others are asleep. Other people is like, where's the promise of his coming? All things since everything just, the sun comes up and goes down and it's always the same. And God says this, they willfully, scoffers and mockers shall come in the last days. In the last days in particular, you guys have been talking about the rapture since who knows when. It's never going to happen. That's what they said during Noah's time. Noah built that ark for 120 years. Hey, old man, where's that rain? You never rained before. So when Noah's saying, what are you doing? Yeah, we're building a boat. What's the boat for? Because God's going to cause something to happen on the earth. It's going to cause a flood. You are just been eating peyote or mushrooms, or you've been smoking the weed. I don't know what you've got yourself into, old man, but you're crazy you're a crazy old coot. And so, yeah, well, you can keep saying that. Well, I'm getting ready. My spirit will not always deal with flesh. 120 years is man's time. And don't you know that God has a calendar? And don't you know that that thing is ticking? And the sands of time are going faithfully through. And once it's appointed, it's appointed. And God, just as in Noah's time, they went in the ark. And the Bible said God closed the door and he locked it. So I don't doubt when the rain started coming down, they began to run. The old man was right. The old Noah, man, let's go. And I bet you they got up there and they began to bang on that door. And Noah had to say, I'm sorry. I wish you had listened. I wish 10 minutes ago or a half hour ago, you could be with us. But you know what? It's locked. And God said, the time is done. So let's not get caught napping. Let's be ready should Jesus come.